Hi guys, this is Ramon Carlos. On today's video, I'm going to give you my review of episode of the season 1 finale of your friendly hood Spider-Man part 1 and 2. Part 1 and 2. That doctor and his big giant toxic spider monster. So here we go, guys. Like I said in episode 8. Now you may ask yourself, Carlos, why didn't you do? Why aren't you doing an episode 9? Your episode 9 review? Well, guys, I think I explained to you what happened in episode 8 and episode 9 in my last two videos in both together. Like, I explained what happened in episode 8 and episode 9 together in one video. So that's why I'm skipping. I'm skipping ahead to the season 1 finale, which is episode 10. So here we go, guys. Now, with that being said, here we go. So it has come down to this. We have been biting our nails. We have been pulling our hair. We have been pulling our hair out. We have been dyeing our hair. We have been dyeing our hair out of stress. Although I haven't dyed my hair ever. I haven't dyed my hair ever. But I bet it's cool to dye your hair. If you have done this out of stress, and not because it's fun to dye your hair, guys and girls, well, don't do it. Don't dye your hair. Don't dye your hair because you're stressed out. Do it for fun. But anyway, it has come down to this. To this. So, first of all, what up to this point we don't know what is Norman's endgame with Peter and Oscorp overall. Well, guys, Osborn and Oscorp, or Oscorp and its head Nacho, yes, Norman Osborn have been preparing Peter and his friends Aisha from Wakanda and his other friends for something, and that something came to fruition, and that something is basically a dimension portal, a dimension portal mirror. Yes, what I mean by that, it looks like it's like exactly like it sounds. This endgame scheme, or this endgame experiment that Norman and Oscorp have made Peter and his friends prepare for and work for Oscorp and him, meaning Osborn, is to create basically a mirror to other dimensions. But here's the kicker. Why you may ask? Why does Oscorp / the big Nacho, Norman Osborn, want to see this? Well, he wants to see what's coming in the future, and if you can jump straight ahead into the future and bring that futuristic technology to current times, which would be in the current time that we are in right now, regarding the series. But that also brings its problems. Now, to get a little bit more of a context, Peter had told Harry about that Daredevil had told Peter as Spider-Man to be careful with his father, to be careful with Harry's father, which is Norman Osborn. And of course Harry's like, with what according to Daredevil, what is my dad planning to do, and for you not to trust him in the future? Well, he wasn't specific, but I'm guessing Peter said this. I'm guessing Harry, that Daredevil was mentioning, that Daredevil was giving me a future heads up for this current situation that your dad is planning. And Peter wasn't wrong. And of course Harry's like, no, my dad wouldn't scheme a plan like this. It's too elaborate. My dad is too stoic, like a royal British king. A British king to plan and to plan such an elaborate and do this sort of a plan. But obviously Harry's like, no, my dad Harry's understandably in denial. Well, again, this time dimension type mirror that obviously Peter and his friends from Oscorp have been developing without knowing it, is the ultimate end game for Oscorp slash Norman Osborn. Well, but again, even though the ultimate goal for Norman is to see what's coming and jumping into the future, or jumping ahead into the future and getting the stuff from the future to come to the current time, brings its problems, and one of those problems, we have already seen it. And of course I'm talking about the Sorcerer Supreme. Yes, Doctor Strange is back at it. That same weird doctor, which we all know and love, that doctor that we know and love is Doctor Strange, Stephen Strange. And again, Doctor Strange this time also brings back an old friend of Peter's, the one thing that brought him his powers. Yes, that ginormous, giant, hulking version and hairy neck of Venom. Basically, thanks to the time dimension mirror that Norman made, that obviously Peter and his friends made without knowing, that they were creating or developing the technology for Norman to build it, and Oscorp to build this dimension mirror that looks a time machine, like time machine, like the time machine from Austin Powers and the Spy Who Shagged Me. If you guys have seen it, the second Austin Powers movie. Anyway, obviously Norman did not expect a creature like future giant hairy neck Venom, or a variant of a giant hairy neck Venom version of Venom would cross over into present day, with Doctor Strange trying to keep Venom, giant hairy neck Venom in his dimension. But then chaos ensued. After a while, after the chaos was kicking up a little bit, it got a little bit hairy. There was a time portal windstorm. Yes, time portal windstorm. What I mean by time portal windstorm is basically Venom got out, and that created a tiny but big, but in reality a big malfunction in the time portal mirror that Oscorp and of course Peter and his Oscorp friends had created for Oscorp, and it was a big win. Basically, this big windstorm, windstorm, was pulling Peter into the time mirror portal, or time mirror portal machine that he and his friends had created. Obviously as Spider-Man, and then Doctor Strange, he was helping. He was trying to stop the wind, or trying to find a way to stop Spider-Man / Peter to stop getting pushed by this time wind, and he eventually succeeded. But hairy neck variant of Venom was still kicking, and actually in the closing moments of the fight, Peter saw the first fight again. He saw himself in the first episode, a little glimpse of himself in the first episode a little glimpse of himself in the first moments of the first episode before he got bitten. Before that little tiny spider from the first episode timeline of that tiny spider from the giant venom variant neck, hairy neck, tiny spider bit him, and again, and now going, and obviously Peter, before he got sucked into the first episode into the first episode timeline, he was rescued by Doctor Strange. But at the same time, they were fighting big giant venom, a big giant variant of venom. So eventually chaos ensued within this fight, and once again that same spider that bit Peter in the first episode timeline bit him again, but in the past. Yes, in the past. But obviously this time before Venom, before the bite, the first bite would happen again for the second time to the Peter Parker from the first episode of the season timeline. Obviously, Peter and Doctor Strange would distract or would detain for a moment this giant venom variant, but as Doctor Strange was closing the first episode time hole, that means time hole again, time hole in present time, which is episode 10 time, in current time, meaning episode 10 time, that tiny spider slipped out. Got into the first episode timeline again, and once again Peter gets bitten by that same spider in a different way, but same result. Then eventually, Doctor Strange and Peter, or Spider-Man, would take down this hairy giant variant of Venom, this time together for the first time ever as a team, instead of Peter looking at Doctor Strange in a funny way and saying, "What is this flying doctor doing here?" Like in the first episode when we first meet Peter, and they sent this giant, both of them sent Venom, this very giant hairy neck version of Venom, into his time hole again, and we would never see him again. But in the twist of fate, that I think will affect down the line in season 2, a little particle of Harry neck Venom's semiotic mucus or semiotic mucus was discovered by Norman Osborn. So with that being said, guys, overall, what did you think? What did you think about your friendly hood Spider-Man? Overall of season 1? And did you love this episode? And what do you think we will see in season 2 of your friendly hood Spider-Man? And do you think down the line, or maybe in the first episode of season 2, we will see the effects. We will see the effects of Norman finding that little particle of Venom's of Harry neck Venom's variant to be important down the line, or in the first 2 episodes of season 2. So with that being said, guys, thank you for watching. Remember to leave a like, and Wakanda forever. And remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Bye.